Hey, friends, and welcome back to the Midlife Edit. I'm Jen, and this is a place where we stop asking permission to reinvent ourselves and start doing it on our own terms. Today's guest is someone I know professionally, but the second she said yes to this conversation, I knew we were going to go somewhere real. Nicole Canole is a place operator who runs East and Ivy, a powerhouse real estate team in Virginia, but she's also a Harvard grad, a mountain climber, a raver, and someone who, by her own admission, might be in the middle of a midlife crisis and isn't mad about it. We get into the stuff underneath all the achievements, the worthy new swoon, the goalpost that never stops moving, why the gap between knowing and doing isn't an information problem and it's an emotional one. We talk about Harvard, about mountains, about concerts, about learning after a lifetime of giving, how to actually receive. This one is going to sit with you. So let's get into it. Nicole, welcome to the
Yes.
Midlife Minute.
Hello.
It's so nice to see you. We know each other professionally, but from what I know about you and what I'm going to learn about you, I thought you were the perfect guest for my listeners because you are in the thick of it and through it, and you've done all of the things. So I want to start out with something that you wrote recently. You said you think you might be in the middle of a midlife crisis, and honestly, you're not mad about it. So why don't you tell me about that?
Uh, well, whenever I wrote that, it's because there's a lot of internal stuff that goes on inside of me. So right now, I found my love of raving again. Whenever I was a kid, I used to really love electronic music festivals and I just stopped going. I mean, it's like I got to be in my mid 20s and I was like, all right, well, I'm just not going to do this anymore. And then this year I turned 40 and have found my love of live music again. And I just keep doing hard stuff. It's like 2 years ago, I decided to go back to school and it's like, I don't even need it because I own my own company. So it's like, why do you have this constant drive to just do different things or do more? There's no end goal. It's just to do them to see that if I can do them. And then with the raving stuff, our little rave family, they're all in their 20s and 30s and I'm having the time of my life. And it's yeah, for no other reason than whenever the people look out at me, they're just like, she has to be going through a midlife crisis or something. And I'm like, no, I'm just finding my joy. I'm finding my love. I'm finding my, you know, play.
Yeah, it's so funny because midlife crisis has been painted as this like terrible thing. And when you hit a certain age, it's all of a sudden your life is over and you have to do these weird things to reinvent, especially men, because I feel like when they talked about this, it was the guys who were dyeing their hair black and getting the little Mazda Miatas and
Totally.
driving. For women, I feel like it is the time to reinvent ourselves. It is the time to stop thinking about what everybody else says about you or how they look at you and start thinking deep inside. And you're the picture perfect example of exactly that. You said you're an overachiever not because you're ambitious, but because you wanted to prove you were worthy.
Oh God, girl.
I want to know deep inside, who are you proving that to?
The 5-year-old girl, the 10-year-old girl, the one, it's funny that you brought this up and wow, what perfect timing. So I'm looking, there's every aspect of my life I'm constantly looking at and reevaluating at. And there's one specific part of it it could be a professional shift. And a lot of it has to do with my degree and do I want to follow that joy? And then the flip side of that comes in of I have a lot of really incredible humans in my world where I look at them and I compare myself to them. They're successful. They're New York Times bestselling authors. They're educated. They sold their companies. They're, wealthy by the standards of the world. And then I look at me and I'm like, I still don't see that person all the way. I don't recognize that I just graduated Harvard. I don't recognize that I've built a successful, 6 or 7 figure business. It's just it's not, these things don't register fully. And so I was working last night through Claude because I think that there's a lot of really great things about AI being the mimic of human consciousness. And we were working through a lot of the worthiness issues. And I happen to have two really powerful calls with two really good friends that where we talked about there's a part of me where I'm giving, 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 and I've just never been able to put myself into a position to receive. And sitting with that over the last 24 hours is a really I cried a lot. And I think it has to do with, I love my dad. So my dad was the most incredible human in the entire world to me. And I love him. I loved him more than anything. Yet he took his own life in 2016. And that's done a lot in my mindset, with the worthiness issues and everything. I was like, how can you love something so much or love someone so much and they still leave you? And it's that's a very long winded answer on that. But it's a very complicated question and a complicated relationship with worthiness for sure.
Yeah. Well, first off, my condolences for your father. Same boat here. almost 20 years now, but yeah. So I think that too, we are very similar in that way where and I hate using the imposter syndrome because I think that that term is
That's the
overused.
word that's an ear yeah.
But that's what it is, right? It's not believing in what you've done, and you're looking at yourself and you're like, "That wasn't me. I didn't do that," because I think for the millennial inside of us, we still think that we're the 15-year-old girl who
Oh,
needs the
that
support, you know? We need to be taken care of, and we have taken care of everybody, whether it's emotionally, physically, financially, for so long that we don't know how to take care of ourselves, and we don't know how to feel worthy on the inside. It's always the external things that make us
yeah.
feel worthy,
But
and
the
it's
funny part is, like, we never actually feel worthy. We get those things, and then it's like and then it's empty. It's now what? It's like it's learning how to be able to feel safe and secure inside your own body, inside your own skin, like, what is it that you need to provide to yourself to be able to feel that?
yeah, it's tough. Let's talk about Harvard real quick because I
Yeah.
think that this is one of those things where now Harvard, that word scares the crap out of me because I'm like, oh my gosh, that is like big time institution. That's like Elle Woods type shit, right?
For
But
sure.
why you've built this, dare I say it, empire in this great ecosystem in real estate. You are this amazing leader who not only helps people find homes, but you help the people on your team become better people and better business, you know, owners, essentially. Why the change? Why all of a sudden you're like, oh hey, I'm not busy enough. So let me go get a Harvard degree.
Yeah. So it's funny. So my team's name is Easton Ivy. And whenever we started the team, I was me and a business partner, and he graduated from an Ivy League institution as well. And so for us, like that word meant something. And I promise I'm going to get to the whole point of like how this all connects. But he and I bought the business out from him about a year after we started it, but the name had always stayed the same of Easton Ivy. And so even though Ivy was it meant something to us, which was it represented a tenacious vine, it, grew on the side of beautiful homes. I'm from the South, it meant something. There was still always that little piece of it that I'm like, well, this also meant something to him because he was an Ivy League grad. And I never knew if I was going to go back to grad school or not. And I kind of let it ride and I didn't really think about it. And then one day I was speaking on a panel and I was walking on the beach and I was listening to a book called Worthy, actually, and Jamie Lee Curtin's book. And I was listening to that book and I was like, you know what? One of my biggest issues in life is like not understanding how people show up in work is because like over the last 10 years, I've interviewed a bunch of agents and agents say that they want to do these things. They want to make six figures. They want to sell this stuff like, and they just don't do the activities that are needed in order to do it. And so I could not understand that. I read so many self-help books and I was trying to wrap my head around it. I was like, you know what? What better way than to be able to help my agents, help my team, help myself than to go back to school. And so as I'm walking down the beach listening to this book, it was like everything just came over me. And they're like, Nicole, you graduated summa cum laude in undergrad. Like, why wouldn't you just try to go and do something like at Harvard or MIT or like one of these like prestigious institutions? Because like if you're going to do it, you might as well do it. At least that's how I function in this world. And so and Harvard has a really interesting program where you just have to make A's in your first three classes inside of your program, and then you apply to be a part of that degree candidacy. And so that is what I did. And I made, it's actually funny, like in grad school, I did the same thing I did in undergrad, which is I made straight A's except for one B. And same thing in grad school, straight A's, one B.
So what is your degree in?
It's in organizational psychology. So the study of how people show up in the context of work and not necessarily. Now, granted, there's a huge overlap between how we function and personalize in the psychological aspect, but also like that study of how that relays into work. So we're talking about motivation was a big one, psychometric exams, things like that.
Yeah. I think in the real estate world, I've been on a few different sides in the real estate world. And the hardest thing is, especially with social media, you look at, all these amazing, the Ryan Serhants of the world, or, the Netflix shows, and it looks quote unquote easy. Like, oh my gosh, look, they have so much time. They can do all these wonderful things. When you look at the average real estate agent, in their mind, maybe they didn't want to be an entrepreneur, but that's what you are. You
Mhm.
are your own boss and you have to do the work to be able to get it. You don't get that paycheck. So how do you motivate, I guess, your agents, but not only your agents, because you're on social media a lot. So I think that you're motivating more people than you realize. You're inspiring more people to do this. How did you take the things that you learned at Harvard and kind of connected that in your business?
So it's it sounds kind of like a joke, but It's not. So the biggest thing that I learned at Harvard is it is impossible for another person to motivate a single human. It has to come from inside. You have to have intrinsic motivation. And so if you were going to use those words and say, Nicole, how do you motivate people? I show up as the person who is successful. I show up and I do the things, I have the conversations, and I don't shy away from the hard conversations. I become people's mirrors. I help them self actualize as to where the disconnect is between what they say that they want versus what they are doing. And that's not something that I can hold people accountable, but accountability is not the answer either. It is really helping them get clarity on what it is that they want, where that disconnect is, why they're showing up not doing the things that they say that they want to do, and see if this is even aligned with what they want in the future. So I'm just a really highly trained mirror for people.
Have you always been that kind of person, that leader, like, even when you were younger? Was that something that you did, or is it something that you kind of grew into?
I've always been a very curious person. So leadership is a I've had a really long road with leadership. Like growing up in South Carolina, I grew up in a really I love my house. I went to a private school up until 10th grade. And I was told, because I was too curious, I was asking too many questions. And I was always told that I wasn't going to be anything. And like, and it's like this constant noise of like, you're not good enough. And like, I know where a lot of these worthiness issues came from, by the way. I was in a very dogmatic school. So I never understood why people were so mean and why they could function that way. And so I've always just tried to be the nicest and kindest and loving person and like always doing that. So it's like within the context of leadership, yes. And I've always been that person, but I didn't know always how to channel that appropriately. And
Yeah.
so that's been really my work over the last, I mean, we've had the team for 11 years. So really over the last 10 years, because I remember whenever I first started the team, my ego was crazy. Like I was because I had never experienced that kind of level of success before. I had never been put on panels. So I would just like show up to these offices and I would just like looking back, I'm like, oh my God, who was she? She's terrible. So I've been blessed in the fact that my two closest friends and also my two closest teammates, they called me out on my stuff and brought a lot of light to things and helped me grow.
Yeah, that's some true friendship right there. So let's talk about your achievements to boost your ego up a little bit more, but in a different way. You did it all: military service, business ownership, Harvard, the mountain races, weight loss, leadership. But a theme that I kept seeing when I was like looking at all of your amazing accomplishments is that every time you reach one goal, another one just appeared right away, right? Did you ever feel like the goalpost kept moving?
It's
Like,
always moving.
yeah, yeah,
It's literally always moving, like, that the conversation that I was having with Claude last night about this is, like because it's funny, like, on the whole use of AI, like, I would upload my stories, I'd upload my journal articles, and I would ask to see for themes like that, and that is one of the themes that it brought to my attention was the fact that I don't know how to sit with myself, and that's the reason why I keep doing all of these hard things is because I'm constantly trying to prove that I belong there, I'm trying to prove that I can do this, that I'm good enough, that I deserve the success instead of just sitting and receiving and allowing myself to acknowledge that no, I've done some really cool stuff in my life and like just being like, high five, girl, you did a great job instead of high five, girl, now what?
yeah. I had a rare few hours to myself on Saturday, and I was like, I don't know how to relax. Like, what do I do? Shouldn't I be doing something? And that's like maybe I need Claude to help me help me with.
I'm telling you, like, I love it because like it's really really fast therapy because and it's not obviously it's not real therapy. It's not that to human connection, but like if you just want help working through something that you can't quite articulate and you don't know why that connection is, it's been so powerful for me.
So another thing that you wrote, the way you write things is just like you should write your own book. Like you should write a version of Worthy. But you said the gap between knowing and doing is an emotional problem, not an information problem. So tell me why you think that's true in your life, but in how can we relate that, like the listener right now, how can we relate that to ourselves?
The gap between knowing and doing is a relational problem. You know, it's funny whenever I need to go back and like actually read these things because like the context is going to change based on like what I'm thinking about in the moment. So in that specific context, what did it mean? What was the rest of the post about?
So this was right before your post about the mountain, which I'm going to get into next because I'm so excited to talk about that. But it was about something that you know that you need to do but has haven't done yet. Almost like, and what I call it is avoidance. Like I will do 10 other things to avoid doing that one thing that I know that I need to do. And it's because I know about these 10 other things. I know that I'm good at A, B, and C. But when I get to Y and Z, when I have to like learn or figure out myself and how to do it emotionally, whether it's sitting with myself, I always say sometimes you just have to sit in your shit and deal with it, or having that hard conversation with somebody that you don't want to have that hard conversation with.
Yeah.
I think that that's the not an informational problem, but it's an emotional problem, right? It's that mirror thing that you were talking about.
Well, honey, you just hit the head you hit the nail on the head, and so, like, the word being relational or the word being emotional, like, that's what it is. As
Yeah.
it's not the fact that we don't know what to do, we always know what to do. We're number 1, we're women, like, women have that inherent ability to just we know, we have that deep gnosis, the knowing, and, sometimes we don't follow it because we don't trust ourselves or because we don't have the right relationship to that item that we need to do, and it's all about framing.
So we're going to get into the mountain. I want to talk all about it because, you and I have been on different journeys, but similar with our health and our weight loss and things like that. And when I did it, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to make this like little small goal. You made your goal the mountain,
Just
right?
I don't know how to do anything small.
But that, and I want to call it the mountain, but it shows up over and over and over again in your story. It's not just the physical mountain, it's
It's a
all of the things that you're doing.
metaphor for life.
And eventually, like, you realize that it wasn't the mountain, it was you. So give me the why it started. Why did you want to do this amazing? I mean, and a lot of our colleagues and our friends did it with you,
Mhm.
but tell me why you set your goal at that.
So it started before 29 so to give the listeners context, so what the group that we're talking about is 29, which is a ultra endurance event where you climb a mountain 29,000 feet, well, 29,029 feet of elevation game over a 36-hour period. We go around the country, Canada, and you just these ski resorts is typically where they host them at, and then you're just climbing the mountain multiple times. It's very repetitive, and depending on which one you're at, it can be anywhere from 7 times to over 20 times. Just depends on the elevation of the mountain. And so I am very suggestible whenever it comes to my friends who do really cool stuff. And I had a friend who she loved this event. She had already done it. She was volunteering for it. I was significantly overweight, but you know how you have some friends who can just trick you into believing in yourself?
Did
Well,
you?
that's literally what happened. Is Grace was like, "Nicole, what are you talking about? You can do it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what kind of shape you're in. You can do it. Just stop telling yourself that you can't and just do it. It's all a mindset." And I was like, "What are you? Whatever. All right, fine, cool. I'm going to do it." And so I did it the first year, which was my first one was Whistler. God, what year? I'm looking at my medals up there and I'm like, which one was it? I wanna say it was like 2020. It was either 2022 or 2023. I think it was 2022, which was the first mountain. And I made it up twice. Like, I could not make it up past that, and that's whenever everything clicked for me. It's like, no, you can't just trick yourself into psychologically believing in yourself. Like, you actually have to be physically fit enough to be able to do this thing and then not give up. And so then that's whenever I had started the weight loss journey, and I started to really look at myself in a different way because I was like, if I can't walk for 36 hours and get myself up a mountain, because like the reality is like, yes, it's challenging, but it's more so mind over matter because your body wants to give out because you're tired, not because it hurts, not because you're in any kind of danger. You're on a luxury ski resort and you're gondoling down the mountain. Like you've got aid stations and beverages and like it's just like it's hard. It's hard and it will completely rock your world and change your life. But like it's not death defying. It's not like climbing Mount Everest in a windstorm kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's how that whole journey really started was my friend tricked me into believing in myself. I tried it and I was like, holy crap, I can't actually do this. And then I got into the group at work because there was a metrics event where Colin, one of the co-founders, came and I happened to be at that metrics and I got invited to their group to start training and hiking with them. And it was a really cool experience. And so I did the mountain 3 times. And guess what? I never finished it. Not once.
But you started it. And that is, you have to start. You just have to
Mm.
start with anything. I tell myself that all the time, whether it's just getting up out of bed or making a hard phone call. I mean, there are so many times where I'm just like, just have to do it. You just have to start. If you fail, you fail, but at least you tried. At least you started.
See, I have a weird relationship with that though, because I'm like, if
Yes.
you're going to do something, like, you know the training that you have to do to be able to do it. And the thing that was killing me is that I should both times, like I should have been able to finish. And and I think that that was the lesson because the universe always provides lessons for me that I need to learn if I'm being too hard headed or stubborn not to learn it through other channels. And so I was trained, I had lost all the weight. But what I didn't really understand is, like, I was on a GLP-1 at the time, and you can't eat, you can't fuel appropriately, so you can't go out and do these extreme endurance events and still do it, and so, like, that left me, I mean, honestly, I was suicidal, like, I my mind completely cracked, I pushed myself to the absolute limit, and I just was sitting on the side of the mountain sobbing, and I'm like, "I cannot believe that I'm not gonna be able to finish this." And so then the next year, I trained again, went back to it, and then the next year, it was the weather that had ended up throwing me out, and, like, if I would've just stayed on the mountain, if they wouldn't have shut the mountain down, like, I have all of these what if scenarios that, push me back into it, but whenever I realized at the time, like, I was gonna bust the time clock by, like, something like 20 minutes, something like that, I was just like, I gave up, and then I had to sit with that. It's like, "Why did you give up? Why didn't you just go out there and continue to push through?" So, yeah, me and that mountain, man, we have had a, because it's all internal. It's never the mountain, by the way. Like, that was the thing. It's like that's what I mean by, like, I mean, the Brianna West book. I'm sure so many of you guys have read or listened to that or read it or whatever. It's like it's always you. It's never the external circumstances. We choose what we do in life, and like being able to really wrap your head around that and come to terms with it, whether it be in a situation like the mountain or just a metaphorical one that we are always in. It just life.
So when you were doing this, the very first one, like you said, it's that internal thing and oh, I can do this and everything else. And at that point, what did you think you were chasing? Like, was it the accomplishment? Was it because your friend said, "Oh, you can do this"? Like, what was that thing that you were chasing for Nicole?
Just to prove that I was an athlete, that's all. Because, like, again, always trying to prove something back to the little Nicole. I wanted to be a gymnast whenever I was a kid. I wanted to be an athlete, and, I mean, I have a really like, comparison, I hate this because it's like, I think it's true, and I think there's parts of it that's not true, that comparison is the thief of all joy, but it certainly can be whenever, but also comparison helps people grow. It's like there's a positive side to it too, but, I wanted to be a cheerleader, I wanted to be a gymnast, I wanted to be all of these things whenever I was a kid, and for X, Y, and Z reason, like, it didn't work out for me. The only sport that I really got to play in high school was soccer, and I was 10th grade in JV, and then past that, I never got to do the thing that I wanted to do, and so I just wanted to prove to myself that I am an athlete, that I can do this, I can move my body, and I can do hard things, and yeah, but the irony about all of that is, well, the second that you put on a pair of tennis shoes, you are an athlete, yeah.
Honestly, I mean, there are so many people who won't even do that step. And those are the things that I think sometimes we have to remind ourselves when we get down that path. And you were so real and honest and raw, especially in some of the videos that you put up about the mountain.
Mhm.
And we don't have to go in too deep into it if you don't want to, but when you were talking about that you versus you and that really deep dark place that you got into during the mountain climb and almost like the why didn't I just keep going, what brought you out of that? And I don't mean right there at that time because obviously, I mean, you talked about this. It wasn't like you were just like, "Oh, okay, stop." What was the thing that kind of brought you into the person that you are now?
Oh, yeah, that's a big question. Like, I can tell you what brought me, like, on the mountain whenever I was having a full-blown meltdown panic attack, like, losing my entire mind, what brought me out of it was food. Like, being able to, fuel and, like, really being able to step back. I have a really uncanny ability to be able to self-actualize and, like, really look at everything for what it is as a picture. So I meditate a lot, and so it's like whenever I'm thinking about something, I can zoom out and I can zoom back in and kind of take it apart and look at my life in a more structural way. And so that whenever I was coming back and doing the integration, because everything that I do that is hard like this, it causes an extreme emotional reaction. I try to take it apart and I try to integrate that because, like, if you're experiencing these things and you just push it away and let it go, then you don't really learn anything from it. And so it's a practice of journaling, it's a practice of mindfulness, it's doing all of that and trying to figure out, like, what was the lesson inside of this. So that's how.
You talk about hard stuff and you say, we can do hard things. And then you talk about the self-doubt and the self-loathing and the feeling of never being enough. What did the experience overall teach you? Like not what you just said, but like if you were from the outside looking in, you were that little girl who wanted to be the gymnast and you're looking at Nicole now climbing that hill. What do you think that taught you about yourself?
In simple terms, that you can do physically hard things. Like, I know that I can do metaphorical hard things. I know that I can do hard things in business and have hard conversations, but, like, the physical aspect of it, I mean, like, my weight has always been a really wild experience. Like, I was a skinny kid until I wasn't, and then I would weight a lot. I mean, at my heaviest, I weighed 300 about 320 pounds. And so it was I can do what it taught me is you can do anything you put your mind to, and then not and the biggest lesson that I learned is not everything is going to look like how you wanted it to. So that was a really big lesson in control for me. It's like I think a lot of women, we struggle with this of like we feel like we have to control the situation. And then what the mountain taught me was that control is an illusion. You can go into this thing and have the most dedicated training plan. You can do all of the right things. You can be fueled appropriately. You can hire the trainers and you can still get out there and then it laughs at you and say, not today. And you have to figure out how to be okay with that.
I get chills, like, when you talk about stuff like that, because it's just I don't think things like that are talked about enough,
I agree.
the not doing it, the failure side of it, honestly. It's just everything is just so pretty and proper on social media and things, but when you get into the thick of it and the real and the raw, that's why I'm doing what I am now. Similar to you, when I was younger, I didn't wanna be an athlete, I wanted to be Gem, like Gem in the Holograms, Gem.
Mhm.
Nicole, I can't sing to save my life. So I'm like, I turned 40, then 41, and at 42, I was like, this is my gem. This is my platform. I can talk about all these things and have conversations with amazing women who have been through experiences that you don't hear about often enough.
Yeah.
They're not the influencer type people. Like they influence you in such a different way. Like you said about the motivation, that's motivation comes after action, but it's almost that mirror, like what in your story can I see in me? And I think that that's really important for women, especially in 2026, especially in the climate of the world, to talk about and to say, hey, yeah, we can do hard things and we can fail, but I'm going to get right back up and I'm going to climb that fucking hill again.
Yeah, for sure. Like when lessons that you learned in this is like how to not let things beat you. Like you just keep on, you just have to decide. It's everything that have in life is a choice, everything. And so you get to choose whether or not you want to continue. And the flip side of that is you can also choose not to. Like this is the first year in 5 years that I haven't done anything 29 or 29 related because there was another event inside of that called Trail where we had to run slash hike 3 mountain marathons over a 3 day period. And I did complete that. And I did manage to do that, but, like, this is the first year, like, after last year, I was like, "I don't know if I'm gonna go back to the mountain," because, like, it's been 5 years of a lot of mental pain, and I feel like I just deserve to love myself through it and not having, like, to physically push myself, and so, yeah.
What have you learned on the physical side of it? Especially, and I really like that you brought up the GLP-1 because a lot of people don't realize exactly what you said. Like, you get on the GLP-1 and yeah, sure, you lose weight, but if you're not fueling yourself in proper ways, then you lose a lot of that muscle and energy and things like that. So, post GLP-1 or post weight loss, what have you learned about that experience and that relationship with food almost?
But
Like,
the relation the GLP-1s are a lifesaver, and they are I'm a huge fan, and if you listen to any of these, like Dave Asprey or any of these biohackers, they talk about it being a longevity drug because there's a lot of really wonderful side effects. It's like brain health and all of that. And what people don't realize, and like in a specific context of like what I was going through is, yeah, GLP-1s are wonderful, but they slow down your digestion, and that is the problem. And so whenever you have to switch your mindset and treat food as fuel and understand how those carbohydrates and sugars and like all of these things and proteins are like interacting with your body and fueling your muscles. Like you really have to understand that stuff if you're going to go into any kind of endurance event or if you're just going to be a normal human, like prioritizing protein, like your brain, we have the way that our brains need food and fuel to be able to function appropriately. Like that's the downside of the GLP-1s is because sure, it stops you from being hungry, but you still otherwise it's going to start eating away at the things that you have. And sure, you can trick your body into being at fat focused and and burning fuel that way, but like it's still going to go after your muscles. It's still going to go after the other internal things that we have in our system. And so it's just being super, super careful with that. How my relationship has changed with food. Like I stopped drinking a year and a half ago, and that was, I think, a lot to do with GLP-1s because that's one of the side effects. Is that it and so I just didn't want it. There was no big, like, hill I'm gonna die on or, "No, I'm not an alcoholic." Like, I don't struggle with substance abuse or any of that stuff, but I was just like, "I don't want this anymore because it doesn't make me feel good." And so I started prioritizing the foods and things it did. And so, like, now I have my little magnesium beverages and, like, adaptogen drinks and all that because it makes me feel good. And so that's how my relationship with food has changes versus, whenever I was younger, it's like I felt bad, and so I would go eat I loved sweets. Like I really loved sweets and I really loved really, really fatty things. And so I make better choices now because I prioritize what feels good in my body because I started paying attention.
yeah. And I think a lot of us, especially, growing up in the 90s when everything was all low fat and 100-calorie packs and all that, the
Mhm.
snack wells and everything else,
Oh, yeah.
our minds then were trained because we were growing up as it. And when you grow up, you're learning those habits.
Oh my
And then it's like all of a sudden, actually, no, you need good food and protein to be able to fuel your body.
Right, and I'm like, and you won't gain weight from eating a steak. You won't gain weight from, like, being conscious about the things that you're like, the proteins and things that you're putting in your body, like, where I think one of the bigger shifts is, like, I stopped eating processed crap because, like, all of the poisons and everything else in it, the first time I ever realized that is I went to Europe on a vacation and, like, I ate so much bread and cheese and, like, all of the stuff, and I came back and I had lost 7 pounds, and I was like, "How is it that I can go in a country," and it's because of what I was eating, the types of food that I was consuming, and so, like, taking these little lessons that I picked up all over, and I can't say I'm perfect, like, I went and had we were up in Baltimore over the weekend, and we walked by an ice cream shop, and I was like, she wants that pistachio."
It's all in moderation. I think
Mhm,
as we get older as women too, I mean, our bodies change like freaking crazy. And the inflammation part of it, and that's where the alcohol was for me,
mm,
is every time I would pick up a drink, it's almost like I looked at it, my face was inflamed.
yeah.
You know? So it's like we start to realize, oh, if I eat that, I'm not gonna feel great tomorrow. And I am too in my prime to not feel good every
Right,
day.
I'm like, I feel the best I've ever felt in my life right now in my 40s, and, like, yeah, I don't it's not worth it, like, it's literally not worth it.
It's not. But so let's talk. And one of my favorite things to see you do is go to these music festivals. When you can tell, like you just from even pictures, the vibe that you get is just so happy and just so full of life. And that's what music does to me.
Mm.
Different kinds of music than you do, but my husband's real big into EDM, so that's pretty cool.
Love
But
that for him, love that for you.
just the beautiful part of it. Like, I see you in the different costumes and just living your best life. My question before we get into music festivals, though, is did that outlook change? Because a lot of these music festivals and concerts, they're centered around drinking, right?
Mhm.
You go and you tailgate and they're playing beer pong or getting drunk doing that. How did that change when you stopped drinking?
Uh, it's actually funny, so it's like whenever I tell people that, music is the drug to me, like, I truly do mean that in every sense of the word, and I don't just love EDM, like, I was just at a bluegrass festival 2 weeks ago, or I guess it was about a month ago now, but there's a lot of people who are drinking, but, like, I I don't mind alcohol culture. So, like, when I was in Baltimore this weekend, we were bar hopping, and I was getting my athletics, I was getting like, drinking my little club soda or whatever, but I'm still dancing because, like, the music is pumping, the community is still there, like, people are still having a good time. I just know that I don't like being around drunk people anymore, so there's a cutoff for me. Like, I'm not gonna go to the afters, I'm not gonna like, whenever the substances become, like, it's starting to overtake where you can actually have a coherent conversation, I'm out. But it's part of it, like, I also think that I can be a good influence, like, I can't tell you how often I hear it from my friends, it's like, "Oh, I love going out with you because, like, it shows me that you can still have go out and have a good time and not be inebriated." And I'm like, "Yeah, like, I still love it out here. I still wanna dance with you and have fun, but, like, I also don't have inhibitions like that." I think a lot of people lean on substances because they feel like they can't let loose and experience joy and make eye contact and, like, dance with a stranger unless you're inebriated in some form or fashion, and I don't need that anymore, and that hasn't always been the case either, like, that's been my work over the last 2 years is, like, learning how to look people in the eye, learning how to connect on a really deep level, and I find that at music festivals because people are so much more we're in a container at that point, like, especially camping festivals, like, you're going into a container, everybody there is for the same purpose, which is to love and experience the music and, like, trade currency of trinkets, like, it's funny right now I'm building a giant dandelion, and these are all of my wishes, and so, we go to Electric Forest in about a week, and so I'm going to be handing out wishes to my new friends on my giant dandelion.
Oh my gosh, I actually might steal that idea.
Yeah.
I'm a big Dave Matthews fan.
He was just
Seen him
here.
yeah, he was. Seen him 70 times, but I'm
Yes.
making my trek to the gorge for the first time ever for Labor Day.
Oh,
My husband
yeah.
there, but the same thing. We make we swag and do
Good.
swags and things, and it's just that community.
Mhm.
And the same thing. Like when I was younger, sure, I would drink because I felt like it gave me the balls to talk to people. But now I'm just like, this is who I am, and I
Yeah.
we love the same thing. I think too, the different generations now. My son's going to be 21 next month, and we're not planning this huge go out and get wasted celebration because their generation, they don't care
They
about
don't
that.
drink, and I love it. Yeah.
It's like they're and maybe it's because they're seeing what happened to us in the college years where we would wear high heels in the freaking snow and no coat because we would wear our going out clothes and then get wasted. It's just not worth it, you know? And you remember things now. That's the best part is like I remember the concerts I go to.
I think that probably it also has something to do with, like, the fact that they're on social media the way that they are, and,
Mhm.
it's like
Could you imagine?
everything is recorded, and so, you don't have the safety to be able to go out and do the dumb shit that we got to do whenever we were kids, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so glad that we didn't have social media back then for so many reasons, but
I remember the first time I ever did mushrooms. There's a video of me, or not a video. There's a photo of me floating around looking like a whole crazy person, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm never gonna be able to be a president because I ate magic mushrooms." Like, my how the times have changed.
my, how the time I would vote for you, Nicole, in a heartbeat. I would vote for you. So before we wrap up here, I wanna know, you've done all these amazing things and you continue to inspire people. Like I said, we we were what probably 2 months ago now when I saw you. It was just like that was the first time meeting you in person, but it's that vibe that you give off. It's almost a mix between like I am who I am and give a fuck, but I also want to be your friend and I want to inspire you to be the best version of you. So, with all of these things that you've done, what's next?
What is next? Well, what I am attempting to do is be a 40-year-old intern. So one of my professors at Harvard, she owns a company that does what it is that I actually want to do. And so I've been lobbying for myself to get a position to with her to be her intern to be able to learn because I want the opportunity to really be able to do this at a high level and be able to affect the lives of the humans around me. Because like everything that you just said, that is very much how I live my life. Like I don't give a fuck. Like I don't if you have a problem with me, that is something showing something about you. It has absolutely nothing to do with me because like from an ethical standpoint, like I'd show up with nothing but love and kindness. So if I am triggering to you, you should probably look at that. And so like that's why I take no personal responsibility for people's feelings about me in general. But what's next is like I just want to be able to figure out how I can help people see that they can love themselves too. So it's like how do I do that? I do that through hopefully getting this like building this internship position and being able to do this on a professional level, being able to go out into the world and like sit with people. Like when I was in high school, believe it or not, I used to sit under bridges with homeless people and just like talk to them and hear their stories. So it is, yeah, it is. So more of that. I just want more of that. I want more of human connection. I want more of being able to love on people and tell them that they are worthy and that they are great and to help them, yeah, find their joy and find their authenticity. That's what's
Yeah,
next.
it's amazing. I'm so excited to see all of the amazing things that you do. But if somebody wanted to follow you personally,
Yeah.
where would they find you?
Instagram. I have a public profile. It's Nicole.Canole, Nicole.Canole.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, if you could pick one song for the soundtrack of your life right now, what would it be?
Oh my God. Oh, yeah, it's actually I can't I've said this a lot. Like, that's actually funny. Like, you've asked a lot of really thoughtful questions, Jen. I don't know why that song like Free Fallin' popped into my head because that's kind of like what it feels like right now but it's not in a bad way. Like, I don't feel like I'm out of control. I just feel like I'm free falling.
That's what
Yeah.
we all need to be, going into this midlife era. We're not done yet. We're just beginning. And yeah, follow Tom Petty and just free fall, you
Yeah.
know? Nicole, it's been so nice talking to you today. I'm so excited that you made the time for us in your, sitting around not doing nothing schedule.
I have to finish my giant you have to see this thing, like, I don't know, but, like, I have to finish my giant dandelion.
Oh my gosh, that is
There's
so
there's 300 wishes in this thing.
well. Hey, if any listeners out there and you're going to the music festival, find Nicole. She's gonna give you a wish.
Yeah, I got a giant dandelion with a wish with your name on it.
Thank you so much, Nicole, and just keep crushing it and keep inspiring people because you've inspired me.
No, thanks, honey.
We'll talk soon.
Okay.
That conversation's going to live in my head for a while. Nicole said something that I haven't been able to shake, that we know what to do. We always know. The problem is we don't trust ourselves enough to follow it. And friends, that's not a Nicole problem. That's a midlife woman problem. That's an us problem. Before I let you go, I want to bring something new here at the Midlife Edit. We've started this ritual called the edit because That's what this whole next chapter is about. You are the editor in chief of your own life. So every week, I'm going to tell you what I'm editing in and what I'm editing out. Think of it as a standing invitation to do the same in your life. This week, and full disclosure, Nicole doesn't even know I'm doing this because I came up with it after we recorded, but it is so her episode. So here's my edit. I am editing out the goalpost that never stops moving, the achievement is proof model, the high five girl instead of high five girl, period. I'm done treating every win as a down payment on the next one. And then I'm going to edit in receiving, sitting still long enough to actually let something land, a compliment, a success, a good day, without immediately reaching for the next hard thing to prove that I deserve it. That's my edit this week, and I'd love to know yours. Come tell me in the edit room. It's our new community on Facebook and the links in the show notes. So, Nicole, if you're listening, surprise and thank you. You gave me my edit for the week without even knowing it. So, until next Tuesday, this is the Midlife Edit. Let's make it a damn good chapter.